guys, I wanted to, before I go get my kids and start celebrating my son's birthday, like he's going to make us do, I'm sure, as soon as he walks through the door, I wanted to talk a little bit about Boston. So first off, before I even get into that, I would like to send prayers and thoughts to the families of the workers that were doing restoration on the Notre Dame in Paris. Yes, that fire is absolutely a tragedy, but you know what? Restoration work is hard. Working on old buildings is hard. That fire was an accident. So while everyone is worked up about a building, which is undoubtedly important, there are real people involved in this story too that are probably not real happy with themselves and are a little scared right now. So again, I don't disavow the tragedy, but I always think of the human component first. And right now, there are some humans who need hugs in Paris, and I hope they are getting whatever they need right now from their friends and family. Kind of like my runners, making sure y'all feel a little coached and loved. So my takeaways and my thoughts. I did not watch this live for one of the first times pretty much ever. I just said I can't do this. I can't do this not today. And the reason is, honestly, it's Carrie Thompson. I really like her. She is wonderful. She is a professional runner. She is friends with one of my clients, Rebecca Meyer, and she is invited every year to come speak at the New York City Marathon during the broadcast, and they'll never let her say anything. Like, I would love to hear her thoughts, except that, she's not really given room to express them and is talked over so much, and it makes me so angry that I have to put the TV on mute. And knowing that Shalane was going to be there today, I had no reason to think that Shalane would be given better treatment than Carrie was. And so I just couldn't watch that. And I taped it all. I will watch it later. I understand her commentary was fantastic and they gave her plenty of room for it. So hey, NBC Universal, take a cue. Lady runners know lots about dudes doing the same sport, because there's no such thing as lady running. And there were 3 races going on today, and you did not cover any of them, and this would not have been acceptable in any other sport. So get your act together, NBC Universal, you suck. But that is beside the point. What I did want to talk about was the first thing that I looked at this morning when I looked at the weather before even reaching out to any of my runners was I rolled over and I clicked on Weather Underground, which I think is now like IntelliWeather, and wanted to see what the dew point was. And the dew point was already at 55 at 6 a.m. in Denver. So and it ended up peaking around 62. And when I saw that number, I was like, oh no, that means 55 is the level past which you're no longer really comfortable. And as the dew point gets higher, you are decreasingly comfortable as the day goes on. And that, not getting into the science of it or what those numbers mean, just know that when it talks about like how humid is it going to be, 83% doesn't tell you much. It can be 100% humidity, that means it's raining, right? But even if there's not rain falling from the sky, it's like, what are you breathing in? Does it feel like you need gills to get through the day? That's the question that relative humidity and dew point both kind of seek to answer in different ways. And my go-to figure, the one that's updated most frequently throughout the day, is the dew point. So it was already looking bad before the rain had even stopped. And because that was my fear. My fear was not the rain continuing. My fear was that rain stopping. Because that once that rain stops, unless there's a whole lot of wind coming along with it, that's a whole lot of humidity that's going to sit there in the air. And if the sun comes out, it's going to shine through that humidity. And you get the phenomenon I talk about in my You Are Not a Camel. That's a document I made a long time ago. It's up on my blog now in a different format, the unedited post that I sent my runners years ago. What would Coach MK do? And I talk about how to race on a hot or humid day, and what I would wear, how I would approach it, and whether or not I'd even go out there. Because remember, what you paid for is an option to race, not a mandate to race. And if you're looking at this and saying there's no way this is going to be good and I'm going to be disappointed no matter what happens, then you really have to ask yourself, do I have to do this in the first place? And for me, for most races, the answer is no. But this is Boston. Being here is the victory lap. And if you can go out there and truly treat it like a victory lap, no matter the conditions, you can have a really great day. But coming here and showing up and expecting to PR, as I say in the document, I say in the blog post, and I tell my runners all the time, it's not a great idea, and that's not about you. It's about Boston in springtime. One of the best times to visit Boston, but anyone that is local can tell you, kind of like Denver, you don't know if you're going to get rain or sunshine or both on the same day, because that is the nature of spring. And the worst case scenario is always hella wind, which they did not have, but I would argue that hella wind is a real bonus and an asset to have on a rainy day like today, because it kind of like keeps the humidity moving in a different direction. So that's the first thing that I thought. The real feel was up to 76 and higher at different points when I was looking at the weather throughout the day, and I was just like, oh geez, that is, they need gills. That is horrible. That's some Houston summertime stuckage, and Houston can get really humid in the summertime. So granted, it was nowhere near as hot as Houston in the summertime, but it was just as humid. Oh my goodness, hi. I did not see that coming. I'm streaming. I'll be done in just a minute. Tank, come here. One of our sitters is here with her dog. My kids love dogs, and I'm just not getting one. My mom's here too, and she likes this particular type of dog. We used to have one when I was little, so that's what that was. Sorry. Tank's amazing. So anyway, when I'm looking at the real feel figures, and I'm already getting nervous before the race has even started. Humid, you've got that ultraviolet sandwich that I just explained. So even if it says it feels like 76, it can feel way warmer than that, because not only are you breathing in warm, humid air that has been baked by the sun and has bounced off the concrete, but you're also, as you're going through, you'd be going through pockets with people all the way around you, where wind would be fine because you've got people all the way around you. You can block it, but now you've got like that heat and feeling trapped component on top of it that's going to make it even harder to race. So if you were out there today, congratulations, you did not have it easy. I don't care what that weather looks like on paper. On paper, yeah, that's a great day for a picnic. It is not optimal for running a road race, and you went out in that and you survived that. You are fucking spectacular. Don't talk it down. It was a tough day. And before I even go any further into that, you've got to accept that if you really want to be there's a difference between being disappointed in the day, being disappointed in the race, and being disappointed in yourself. And that difference is not, it should be discrete, but we often conflate it. This day sucked, therefore I suck, and I don't want to suck. I worked really hard to not suck. It's like whatever happened today, that's kind of between you and your coach. Let's talk it out. If you look back and say, actually, I could have done more in the training, that is one thing, but that still doesn't mean you suck. If you didn't get the result that you wanted, still doesn't mean you suck. It means it was a really tough day. So give credit to the tough day. Feel free to be disappointed, but don't connect those two dots. Don't conflate those two data points. It sucked, therefore I suck. It is not true. There is no training plan on this earth that's going to make you impervious to the effects of heat and wind and the elements. And if you think there is, great. If you want, I suck. Go get a coach you deserve. You deserve better than me. If there's a coach out there that can do it, because I've never heard of such. But anyway, and we know this because even by looking at the winner of this race, and what a race that was. I was watching it. I was following it on Twitter because there's less likely to hear commentary that pisses me off on Twitter. The one time Twitter is safe, you're screwing up NBC Universal when Twitter is my safe place to get information about a sport. Ugh. But I digress. DeGeffa took off, and she set the race, and that was it. In the first 5K, she was going so fast no one could keep up with her. A chase pack quickly formed, and that's where all the tactics were coming into play. And past a certain point, all she had to do was not stop, and she was going to win, and that's exactly what happened. So there are a whole lot of people that are really disappointed right now, not just you. All the elites and all the pros are kind of going, what was that? Because it was fast, you guys. It was seriously fast. That was some fast running. That was some serious racing. And I can't wait to go back and watch the footage, because hopefully they had cameras on the chase pack a little bit as well. But that's my fear, that I won't be able to find much coverage of it. But I would like to see what kind of tactical racing was happening under those conditions once the chase pack formed. And the men's race was fun to watch too. Everyone's going to be talking about the finish for a while. But what I was noticing on Twitter was the rate at which dudes were falling off of the chase pack. And that tells you something, again, about the weather, because it coincided when the sun would come out. People that were bystanders at the marathon today were saying that when the sun was behind the clouds, it felt about right, but every time the sun would come out, it would feel like it was warming up 10 to 15 degrees. So the later your start, the more of that you got, and that's so much more working against you than it was even for the pros with their 9:30 a.m. start. So there's that. Other things, what I didn't hear, but it might have been discussed again because I have not watched your trashy coverage yet, NBC Universal, is what the implications are for the Olympics. So I streamed a couple weeks ago and talked about the new qualifying standards for the Olympics. The Olympic trials qualifying standards have not changed. But if we had known what the standards were going to be, the question remains, would we still have picked Atlanta as the site of the trials if we knew that the bar was going to be raised this much? And then the concern was, what if we come at the end of the year and no one is qualified for the trials? No one has met these new insane time standards because they are stiff. So what happened today is it is being considered, because it was really hot at times, it was humid at times, and this is very much being considered a decent proxy for what to expect at the Olympic trials in Atlanta for 2020. And the result wasn't disastrous, you guys. We had two women meet the time standard, and the new time standard for women is 2:29. And so that was Des Linden and Jordan Hussey. Jordan came in third, Des was in fifth. Both came in under 2:30, right under the wire. So they qualified for the Olympic, if they win the trials and are selected to go, they have qualified, they have met that standard for the Olympics by running a qualifying time. You can be the fastest runner in your country and still not meet the Olympic standards and not be invited to the marathon. We had another runner, Lindsay Flanagan, and this is a fun story too. This was the one that really got me excited when I saw it on Twitter. She was in 11th place, somehow got wind of that from someone in the crowd, and then kicked it all the way to the finish and came in 9th. That qualifies her for the Olympics as well, because the new qualifying standards are a little obtuse and they're a little involved, but there are basically two ways to do it. You can win the trials, and you got to win the trials and have a race in the previous 18 months where you met the qualifying standard for the Olympics on an Olympic approved course. One, or you have to have a top 10 finish at a marathon major. Boston is a marathon major, and when Lindsay Flanagan from Boulder, Colorado kicked it really hard and went from 11th to 9th, that alone meets one of the qualifying standards for the Olympics. So here we are, like a few weeks ago, it was, oh my gosh, these are all so hard, and no women and no men from America that's going to destroy the Olympic marathon. Well, those fears are unfounded, right? So no matter what happens in Atlanta, we've got 3 women right now that have met the Olympic, that could easily go and race the Olympics because they've met that really high bar that was set, and they did it on a tough, humid day. Des, Jordan Hussey, and Lindsay Flanagan. Huge congratulations to Lindsay Flanagan. That is spectacular. You remember how I've said to my clients, when we see the finish line, we speed up? That is the magic that happens when you do the strength, when you do the work, when you have a little power left, when you hold it back and you kick it when it counts. Shoot, that is the difference between 9th and 11th. For the implications for Lindsay are just gigantic, and I could not be more excited that this came together for her today the way that it did. So yeah, Lindsay Flanagan, if you follow her, if you follow me on Twitter, you can see I tweeted about this as well. Find her and follow her. She's super cool. If you read my nuzzle, I had an article not yesterday but a week ago about her training up in Boulder, and she's just really fantastic, really down to earth. I hope this is the start of her getting more coverage. On the flip side of that, Sarah Sellers wasn't a name you probably heard today. A little disappointing after her second place finish last year. That's not to say she didn't do well. It's just to say, like, that's how quickly the limelight can fade in this particular sport, where it doesn't it's not bright enough and big enough to encompass all of the really cool women that are doing really cool things. So those are the Olympic implications. Then Joan Benoit Samuelson ran a 3:04 40 years after she went and set like a course record out there. I loved watching that. I couldn't believe. So I had Justin Ross, I was tracking him. He ran a 3:03. My other client, Rebecca Mayer, ran a 3:04. I'm not going to have time to talk about her right now, but I will come back later tonight and probably discuss her numbers in a Facebook Live and a stream as well, because she had a really, really, really terrific day. And the things that you guys don't think about are the things I go to first. And Jordan. So Jordan Hussey announced right before I started this that she intends to go break Dina Castor's American record in the marathon at Chicago this fall. And Dina Castor's American record is like 2 hours and 19 minutes and change. And Jordan intends to beat that. So that's after 18 months off treating a stress fracture. You haven't heard Jordan's name in a while, and that's why. She was nursing a stress fracture, taking her time, coming back 18 months to not marathon. Seems like a really long time. So if you are injured, if you are down for the count at the moment, if you're waiting for my runner interrupted beta to open, let that be sort of not just a lesson, but a takeaway for you. An injury doesn't mean you're done unless you just want it to mean that you're done. If you do the work and be really patient and take the time, and 18 months is a really long time, especially when you're that age, trying to get back in a very small spotlight in a sport that doesn't have a big enough spotlight for all the really cool women in it. Congratulations to Jordan, congratulations on your recovery, and congratulations on that finish today. She was really strong. The final note I want to have final point I want to make before I get my kids is that we had 2 men breaking the 2 hour and 10 minute mark, which again is going to become really important for the Olympic trial, for the Olympics, rather, the Olympic not just the Olympic trials, but the Olympic qualifications. So, because remember, we're in new rules now. You could win the Olympic trials and still potentially not go to the Olympics because unless you have met their qualifying criteria. So, what the implications that's going to have for how relevant the trials are remains to be seen. But what we do know is that there was a concern that American men wouldn't be able to meet it, and we did today. We had Scott Fauble and Jared Ward. Jared is from, I think he's from Provo, or he went to Utah. Either way, there's a Utah connection there. So, and I like Utah a lot. So, irrational as it seems, I was really, really, really excited for Jared Ward today, and Scott. I mean, obviously excited for him too. These two dudes kind of laid to rest like the whole notion that America will be less competitive or unable to compete under these new Olympic terms. We now know that that's bollocks too. So that's it. Those are all the big things. The story today, I feel like the biggest story for me today, the biggest takeaway, the name that I'm going to walk away from like giggling to myself is Lindsay Flanagan. And I'm going to be cheering for Jordan Hesse again. 18 months off is no joke, and she didn't just survive it, she is thriving now. So whatever story, whatever narrative you told yourself about, I am broken, therefore I suck, this is bad, therefore I suck, this happened, therefore I cannot. I mean, you're only done if you want to be. And the marathon proves that I love this sport. I will always love this sport, from Joan Benoit being like, I'm not done yet, gonna come run, and runs a 3:04 40 years after she set records here. I mean, there's no limit to what you can do. We have no idea really where the limits of human endurance and human potential lie. We are learning more about what's possible every single year, and I think you got to see a lot of what's possible today. If you feel like you didn't because you were out there running it and didn't have the day you wanted, give yourself some credit. That was a really hard day. You are coached, you are loved. If you were out there, you were winning at life. This is amazing. You were amazing. Don't piss in your own Cheerios. Don't do it. Own it. I ran a tough race in tough weather. That means I am tough. Don't be defined by the finish time. Be defined by the accomplishment and the achievement, because it was won. I'm really late to get my kids, but at least there won't be a line at pickup. Yay!